I had always been skeptical of the stories my grandmother used to tell me. You know the kind, those eerie Filipino legends about creatures that lurk in the dark corners of the world. Stories like the Manananggal, a creature from our folklore that could rip its body in half, leaving the lower half to remain on the ground while the top half flew through the night hunting for its next victim. Ridiculous, I thought. I wasn't one to buy into superstition. After all, I was from the city. Logic and reason ruled my world. But that was before I saw it with my own eyes. It was supposed to be a simple camping trip, a getaway from the chaos of Manila. A chance for me and my friends to reconnect with nature, breathe fresh air, and escape the endless noise of city life. We decided on a secluded spot in the mountains, deep in the heart of the Philippine countryside, surrounded by dense forests and towering balete trees, the very trees my Lola had warned me about since I was a child. The spirits live in those trees, she would say with a knowing look, and some of them are hungry. I laughed it off back then, dismissing it as just another superstition. But here I was, standing in front of the very same trees, setting up camp with my friends. The air was crisp, and everything seemed peaceful. Too peaceful, in fact. The sun set quickly, and before long, the shadows stretched across the land, turning the once inviting woods into an ominous maze of darkness. We gathered around the fire, roasting marshmallows and telling ghost stories, mostly for fun. But as the night deepened, I noticed a strange quiet descending over the forest. Even the crickets seemed to have stopped chirping. I shrugged it off, but the unease in my chest only grew stronger. The others were too caught up in their laughter to notice, but I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. That's when I heard it. A deep, eerie laugh, unlike anything I had ever heard before. It echoed through the trees, sending a chill down my spine. At first, I thought it was one of my friends playing a prank on me, but the sound was too strange, too unnatural. My friends, engrossed in their conversation, didn't even seem to notice. I shook my head, trying to convince myself it was just the wind. But then it came again, closer this time. The sound of a deep, rumbling chuckle that seemed to vibrate in my chest. My heart began to race as I slowly turned my head, scanning the darkness beyond the campfire's glow. The trees loomed large, their twisted branches reaching out like gnarled hands. That's when I saw it. A shadow moved in the distance, something huge and unnatural. It wasn't a person, nor was it any animal I had ever seen. I froze, my blood running cold. The shape was too large, too imposing. It stood in the shadows, barely visible, but I could make out the outline of something. Wrong. I tried to convince myself it was just an animal, perhaps a wild boar or a deer, but deep down I knew it wasn't. I excused myself from the fire, my legs shaky as I walked toward the edge of the camp. The others didn't notice. They were too busy laughing and drinking, but I couldn't ignore what I had just seen. Slowly, I made my way deeper into the forest, the darkness swallowing me whole. My flashlight flickered as I walked, casting long, eerie shadows that danced in the corners of my vision. The further I went, the colder the air became, and the hairs on the back of my neck stood on end. I could still hear that laughter, faint but unmistakable, lingering in the distance. It was too quiet now, unnaturally quiet. No sounds of wildlife, no rustling of leaves in the breeze, just that laugh. That horrible laugh. I walked faster, my heart pounding in my chest when I heard it again, a fluttering sound. It was too fast to be a bird. My eyes darted around, and that's when I saw it. Hovering just above the ground, bathed in the pale light of my flashlight, was a creature unlike anything I had ever seen. It was a Manananggal. The creature's body was severed at the waist, its upper torso floating above the ground. Its skin was deathly pale, its hair long and black, drifting in the air as if moved by some unseen force. The sight made my stomach churn. The Manananggal's face was twisted in a grotesque smile, its glowing eyes locked onto mine. It had a long, serpentine tongue that lashed out from its mouth, tasting the air as if savoring the moment. Its claws, sharp and twisted, glistened under the light of my flashlight. I froze in terror, my mind struggling to comprehend what I was seeing. The creature let out a low, guttural laugh that sent a wave of nausea through me. This wasn't a dream. This wasn't a story. This was real, and it was coming for me. Before I could react, the Manananggal screeched, a high-pitched sound that cut through the silence like a knife. My heart nearly stopped. I turned and ran, my legs moving on pure instinct. My flashlight bounced wildly in my hand as I sprinted through the forest, the beam cutting through the darkness just long enough for me to see the trees and rocks ahead of me. But I could hear it. The fluttering of wings, the screeching laugh, it was following me. I pushed myself harder, but I could hear its wings beating faster, getting closer. The creature was toying with me, I realized. It wasn't just chasing me, it was playing with me. It was enjoying my fear. I tripped over a root, my body slamming into the ground. Pain shot through my side as I scrambled to get up. The creature's screech echoed in the distance, but it was closer now. So much closer. I could feel it, like a cold breath on the back of my neck. I reached into my bag and grabbed the knife I had packed, just in case. It was a small thing, but I had no choice. I had to try and defend myself. My hands were shaking as I gripped the handle, my heart racing. I turned, trying to face the Manananggal, but it was already there. It swooped down from the sky, its claws outstretched, and I barely had time to react. The creature's talons raked across my chest, and I screamed in pain as I felt the deep gash tear through my skin. Blood poured from the wound, staining my shirt. I staggered back, the knife slipping from my grasp as I stumbled in the dark. I couldn't fight it. It was too strong, too fast. I had to run. I had to get away. I turned and ran again, my mind racing. I could hear the Manananggal circling above me, its laughter echoing through the forest like a predator playing with its prey. Every time I thought I was gaining distance, it swooped down again, always just out of reach. Then I saw it. A ledge, a narrow outcropping of rocks hanging over a steep drop. I didn't think, I just ran. With all the strength I had left, I leapt for the ledge, my body crashing into it with a sickening thud. Pain shot through my leg, and I cried out, but I didn't stop. I had to keep moving. The Manananggal screeched again, and I knew it was coming for me. It was faster than I was, but I had no choice. I pushed myself to my feet, ignoring the pain in my leg, and scrambled to the edge of the ledge. Without thinking, I jumped. I felt the air rush past me as I fell, my body twisting in midair, the ground rushing up to meet me. The impact knocked the wind out of me and I hit the ground hard. My bones screamed in protest, and I could feel several cracks in my ribs. But I didn't care. I had to get away. I stumbled to my feet, blood dripping from my wounds. I limped forward, barely able to stand, but I knew I couldn't stop. The Manananggal was still out there hunting me, but I had escaped for now. I finally made it back to camp, the lights of the fire flickering in the distance. My friends were still sitting around the fire, completely unaware of the nightmare that had just unfolded. My vision blurred from the pain, and I collapsed into their arms. I was alive, but I knew I wasn't safe. The Manananggal was still out there, and I would never forget its face. The face of a creature that shouldn't exist, but did. And next time, it might not let me escape.